Welcome back to the Wizard Shop, and it's more Range Rover time. You guys know I love Range Rovers, and we're going to dive in deep on this one. Let's take a look. So this is a 2011 Range Rover Supercharged. This is the full size, or they call it the full fat L322 series of Range Rover, and is also one of my favorite styles of Range Rover. It's in here for several issues, but just like 3 others we've done this month, it's time for another headliner. Maybe it's the extreme heat that we're experiencing in the country right now. There's a lot of headliners that are starting to fall. I think this one was a water intrusion issue, but that is the theme of this month, headliners. So we're happy to keep low-end upholstery busy. We'll go ahead and open the hood on this one and talk about what we did to this one, or what we're going to do. This is the supercharged engine that is in here, and although it's not really in here for any engine issues, it is here for an alternator issue. Occasionally the alternator will just quit charging, and sometimes it'll come back to life. The charging indicator will come on the dash, and we have proven that it is the alternator. These have 2 belts, one of them to drive the supercharger, and the other one to do the water pump and the AC compressor and everything else that's in there. Not a huge teardown to get to it, but we did have to take the fan shroud out to get to everything. It's really tight in there. And there is an orange rag over there. You can see if we have the battery positive cable just sitting in it so it doesn't touch ground accidentally for whatever reason. He did have a concern after he fueled up that it had some multiple misfires. We cleared the codes. That issue did not come back. We road tested it several times. It runs smooth and perfect. Could have been a small bad batch of fuel or something like that, because there are no issues at this time. So we cleared the codes. It is not repeating the problem. So here we have the old alternator, or the slowly failing alternator. And to get to it and get its belt off, which is also a dual-sided belt. On the previous Corvette video we just did, you guys kept saying that the belt was inside out or backwards, and that wasn't true. A lot of vehicles today have dual-sided belts. There are grooves on this side and grooves on that side. So it's not uncommon in the European car world, and it's also in a Corvette. Luckily, this alternator is not super expensive. If it were an earlier model L322 with the BMW engine in it, and it has a water-cooled alternator, those are like $1,000 or $1,500, somewhere in that range for a new alternator. That doesn't include the labor. You're at $1,000 or $1,500 and all you've done is bought the part. Very, very expensive. Luckily, that's not the case here. This is switched to the Jag or Ford motor in the little bit later years. And to get to the alternator, quite a few of the panels and things have to come off. That's the story of most modern cars anymore. Panels and panels and more panels. Here we have the radiator shroud and the thermal clutch fan. And all that had to come off to make the job a little easier. Looks kind of like the one we had, doesn't it, Mrs. Wizard?
It does a lot.
We had a 2004 with the dreaded BMW engine, and it had lots of troubles. You guys got to watch that on Hoovie's garage get buried into the ground. No, we are not going to be burying this one. It is in very nice shape. This one's all the way from Mississippi, guys. The customer wants it done right, and they decided to pay for the shipping all the way from Mississippi, halfway across the country. It's starting to happen more and more here in the shop. We have the wheels and brakes off. The rotors are making squealing noises, and they were also warped. Here in a second, we're going to show you guys how we solved that. Take a quick look around. The body's in good condition. It is not dented or beat up. Here's the rear hatch. We're going to be showing the headliner removal here in a moment. Here on this side, also in good condition. Very nice paint. As you can see, this rotor has already been resurfaced. It's got a nice clean metallic surface to it. We're just cleaning up the old pads and reusing them. They still had a lot of life left in them. These are just getting resurfaced. That's all they need, and the brakes can get a lot more life out of them. Now let's go look at how did we get it to be this nice smooth surface again. So for a while we've been talking about maybe getting a brake lathe to resurface our own rotors. We have been using the local parts store to do it for us. It was relatively cheap, but it's getting to the point where we're doing so many that it made sense to look into getting one of these. And Bin Pack again came to the rescue. They said, Car Wizard, we got you covered. We'll send you the Ranger RL 8500 drum and rotor resurfacing machine. No problem, we'll send it to you. I've done a few rotors already on it and it works beautifully. I've ran many different machines in the past and this one is so smooth and so nice. So I'm going to get this rotor loaded and then we're going to show you guys how this works. I've heard many times customers ask me, they're like, so on the bill I see it says you turn my rotors. What is that? What do you mean you turn my rotors? Did you just take them off and swap them with the other side? I'm like, no. We didn't turn them on a different position on the car. We turn them as in we resurface them on a machine. And they're like, oh. So I'm going to show you guys turning rotors. So I've got this rotor loaded onto the machine, and just to give you an idea of how bad they can get, this one was worn so bad there's a lip and there's a deep groove that couldn't turn out. If we were to go any further on this one, we would be digging into the cooling fins. This rotor is trash. This rotor has a very slight squeal to it when he hits the brakes because it's glazed. Also, it's slightly warped. So when you go to hit the brakes and you feel your steering wheel jiggle a little bit, that's because of the rotors. It's not your tires out of balance. Out of balance tires will give you a vibration or a shake all the time or at certain speeds, not just when you hit the brakes. One of the first things I'm going to do is put this rubber belt around the circumference of the rotor. This absorbs vibrations so you don't get an interrupted or a nasty cut on it. It'll actually make a squealing noise. It'll make all the mechanics in the shop put their hands over their ears, and it'll really mess up the finish of the rotor. So let's put this on. Make sure nothing's hanging off to get caught. And it looks good. I'll get this first set up and I'll let you guys hear that it's actually warped. The first thing I'm going to do is establish a 0 point with the cutting tips, which are called inserts, which I'm just barely going to touch the surface of the rotor. Now if this was perfectly flat, you would hear it start to cut and make a solid stream noise like shh. But if it's out of round or warped, it's going to be intermittent like this. So let's listen. You guys hear that? I'll do the other side. Not a nice solid stream noise. This was probably warped 4 to 5 thousandths, maybe a little bit more. And you would definitely feel that in the brake pedal when you hit the brakes. So now we have established a 0 point. I'll go ahead and move the cutting tips all the way inward past the surface of the rotor. So now they're all the way in past the surface of the rotor. But I want to cut a little deeper than just the 0 point, just barely touching the rotor. I want to go a little deeper than that to take the warpage out of it. So I'll turn my adjustment knob here. About 2. Two graduations there. I think these are in 10/1000ths of an inch, which that would be about 5/1000ths of an inch roughly. 5 to 10 in that range. Now we'll lock down our cutting tips. I'll go ahead and lock down the drive on this. There is a drum feed and a rotor feed switch. We are not doing a drum, we're going to do a rotor. So we'll turn on rotor feed at a speed of 4. Now it will feed itself without me touching it, and you'll start to hear it cut here in a little bit. There we go. Here comes the second one. I'll turn it down just a little bit. That right there. Now we'll let this thing cut and we'll come right back. So that'll take 5 or 10 minutes for that to do its job, and although it's kind of neat, it's about as exciting as watching a needle slowly move across a record on a record player. After a while it gets kind of boring. So we'll let it do its job. Me and Magic Mike will go ahead and remove this headliner from this Range Rover. Magic Mike, yeah, I'll get in here. So we got this thing out, and it didn't happen in 10 minutes, did it, Mike?
It did not. It definitely took 3 or 4 hours for me to get it ready just to get it pulled out of the car.
And it'll take that much or longer to put it back in because you want to be careful, put everything without tearing the new headliner material. Now the reason why we have the headliner out is because the sunroof was not initialized properly and it wasn't closing all the way and water was getting in. All right, here's a water stain, pretty much all 4 corners of the sunroof, and you can see that the headliner is starting to bubble, especially at the headliner. And I know from experience, for having had one of these, that when this starts to happen, there is no magic fix, there's no magic cure. It starts coming down in an accelerated growth almost. Pretty soon it's dangling and hitting you on the head.
You mean it's polishing your noggin?
Yes. We can see here, all it is fabric with a foam. You see that, guys? The foam just comes apart when I touch it. That's what's wrong with this headliner. That's got to be redone. So when I brought this to the customer, I said, hey, it's not going to get better. In fact, it's going to get worse in a fast way. He said, okay, go ahead and do it. Let's show you what all had to come out. It's not like you just unbolt the headliner and take it out. There's so much more. Let's take a look. Why don't you point to some of these things and tell us, starting down there, what all had to come out?
So down here we've got the D-pillar trims. So each pillar inside the vehicle, I had to pull off the trim pieces. This is the D-pillar. I've got the pull handles, or the grab handles that some people will call them. And I've got my overhead console assemblies. This was the front one. It's got the sunroof controls. And then the center overhead console, which is just a couple of reading lights. Up top I've got a couple of the front visors, the front mirrors. I've got the B-pillar trims all in one piece. And I've also got the A-pillar trims right here behind it.
And then you also did the sunroof glass, so you could unbolt some screws or things that were up there.
Yeah, so on this particular headliner, the way that it's anchored around the sunroof is it's actually got a metal trim, and it's got several screws around the side of the trim, so in order to get to that, I have to pull out the sunroof as well as the sunroof cover.
And the sunroof cover will also be reupholstered because those are notorious for starting to flap on top of your scalp as well. So as you can see, Magic Mike was hard at work all this morning to get all these parts out. No, you're not going to get this removed for $100. It's not going to happen. Sorry. I mean, it's just kind of the way it is. One of the things to keep in mind, and especially in a mechanic shop, is when you take all these pillars and pieces off, it's going to get dirty. Dirty hands can touch them. You can get fingerprints all over them. So if you don't have rolling tables like we do, where we can put basically a car cover over the top of it to protect them, put them back in the car, put them in the back hatch area and close it. That'll keep them safe out of dirty hands if you got kids or whoever who might touch them and get them kind of grungy and dirty. You don't want that. We've already got the Bentley headliner at Loan Upholstery, and he's not even done with it yet, and we've got another one right behind it. It could take 2, 3, 4 weeks to get this done. And the customer's fully understanding of that. He gets it. These are things that take a while to get done right. Just make sure you don't misplace any of the bolts or screws or any of the parts and pieces that Magic Mike just showed, because when you go back together, you'll be like, where's that trim panel piece at, or where's this at? Or it can be very aggravating.
Well, ladies and gents, this has got to be one of the most interesting car interior reviews I've done, because the battery is unplugged, the seat doesn't move, and so, well, there we have it. And I'm definitely not going to fit in there. That's smaller than some of the back seats we've reviewed. But again, hey, this is a Land Rover, and it looks very, very Land Rover. We've got camel leather everywhere. They're kind of drifting away from the wood look in the interiors, where we just have a little bit on the columns there next to the infotainment and all the controls, and a little bit on that center console. It does still have the standard gear stick shift selector and has not moved to the center dial that many of the newer Land Rovers now have. But as we look at the car, the leather is in great shape. It takes a lot of years for a Land Rover's leather to go bad. The dash is looking fabulous. As they get old, and I'm talking really old, they can start to crack, but again, this is not that old of a car. Now, we do have a few accessories hanging down. The headliner is fully removed, and I've got a little bit here right next to me tickling my hair. But we can see it is just shiny steel up here. And as the Car Wizard has said, you know, this channel does show you things that most other channels do not, and one of which is the underside of a headliner. In the back seat, we continue with more of the camel leather. This does have a 40-60 split, so if you're wanting to put down the seats, which they were down when they took the headliner out, but we had to put them back up so we could do our interior review. These back seats are heated and cooled, which is a pretty standard for being Range Rover. And again, a little bit, which we saw earlier, the back hatch area. And they have added a WeatherTech style mat to keep that nice carpet looking great.
So now we got the headliner all out. This thing is just finished up. Let's go ahead and take this rotor off the machine. Spindle here, move it out of the way. And you can see our nice, smooth finish on there. Go ahead and take our anti-vibration ring off. As you can see, there's various different adapters for different size rotors, different drums, different setups, applications. All the adapters are included if you purchase one of these lathes, brake turning lathes, whatever you want to call it. So now you know when someone says, hey, we turned your rotors, you can envision in your mind the rotor actually turning. It did turn, and they turned the surface of it. So that's what it means to turn your rotors. Let's go ahead and take this back over to the Range Rover. So the rotor is done. I got it setting here. I'll let Magic Mike put all the brakes back together. We've got the alternator to put back on, which is fine because we're going to take the headliner over to Low End Upholstery, and it's going to be gone for a while. You'll be seeing this in the background for quite a while because we're waiting on the headliner. It's really interesting to have vehicles coming from so far away, but I'm happy to fix anybody's car. We'll get this fixed up for the customer, get his brakes done, headliner done, alternator done, all the different things he wanted done taken care of, and he'll get it back all the way to Mississippi with everything done that he wanted done. If you're curious what kind of tools we use to work on these Range Rovers, check my Amazon affiliates link in the description below. We get a small cut and I really appreciate it. And make sure you hit the subscribe button because there's really sweet projects and all kinds of cars going in the shop over and over again. Thanks for watching.